What is good, guys? It's your boy Aaron, and you're watching the Aaron Show. The Aaron Show, Knicks take. It's been a while since I've said that. I hope you guys are doing good. As you could see from the title of the show, we're going to do a little bit of a breakdown of the Knicks versus Hawks uh, re what you may call it a rematch of the 2021 playoffs, if I'm correct. You might want to comment down below and just maybe tell me if I'm correct or not, because I forgot what year that was. When it was definitely when Trey Young was on the team. So that's what I remember. Um, in terms of what I think about this match before I get into the statistics and all that stuff, it's going to be a holy shit. And, well, what I mean by holy shit is just that it's going to be a blowout of, on and off, uh, you know, sides. So, but yeah, it's going to be a good show. It's going to be a very interesting, hopefully 4-game, um, battle. We don't want to go into game 5s, game 6, or game 7s, knowing what we're going to get into. Now, I'll tell you one thing. It's not going to be easy. And I'll tell you something. This could be a little bit of challenging for us because of what we had to anticipate this last year with 53 wins. Now, of course, we did win the NBA Cup, but that doesn't mean we have, the chances of, saying we're going to get through this. We got to work through it, and it's going to be interesting. But time will tell, and hopefully we can do it. I hope all of you guys are doing good. I know I haven't been making as much content as I should be, but let's get this show on the road. So, like I said before, this is going to be a crazy matchup. I mean, I wish I could bring up the stats on my computer, but unfortunately, my computer, knowing that I haven't really upgraded it or went to the store, I have this big ass problem with these, upgrades and all that stuff with changing my computer. That's not the point. Let's get into the narrative of these games. So, of course, we're going up against a Hawks team which has CJ McCollum and all of these, somewhat, I don't want to say losers, but we have some competition, and players like CJ McCollum, who's a veteran on this team, who could play really good. You've got Buddy Hield, who's been playing on multiple of teams. You've got Kayton Wallace. You've got who else? Jalen Johnson. You've got all of these good players that they could play, but we have to be careful. I'm not saying they're good, but we have to also be careful the way that they play, because this could be the same thing as what we went through last year. Of course, last year was a little bit different because it was the Detroit Pistons, knowing that the assholes that they are and still are, because they think that they're in first place and they could be the champions of this year, which is not true. But we do have to be careful with this Hawks team because they have a lot of good players and a lot of good potentials. That doesn't mean that they're probably going to win. I don't think they're going to win because what they have trouble with is defense and the objections of getting the offense to attack. And that's the thing that is weird because this Hawks team might be too easy, but we do have to be careful. I don't want to be too confident to say we're going to beat them. This is going to be the team that we're going to beat in this round. Listen, there's some pros and then there's some cons. At the same time, you've got a team that says we're good enough to beat the Atlanta Hawks, which we do. But then on the other hand, you got to ask yourself, is it players that are going to come out like CJ McCollum who's going to step up and say, I'm going to take control of this team? On the other hand, you've got us, which is a player like Jalen Brunson who can come out and say, hey, go, Josh Hart, you got to go and protect the defense and do just that. You gotta go. You know what I mean? So there comes this level of responsibility from us that we do have to be careful from them because they do have a lot of good players. However, they have their pros and their cons because they're not such as a good team as they were last year when they had Trae Young, and now they gave up all of their assets from picking up Trae Young to go to Washington. Now, there's rumors about Washington, which I'm not going to get into because I do want to get into of talking about the playoffs and how we can control this team. How can we beat the Atlanta Hawks? I will say that we got this. Game 1, Game 2 should be just like that. And I'm not saying that because I'm being very confident, but I'm saying that because we do have more potential in beating most of these guys. At the same time, you've got players like Jacob Toppin, who was last year with us and went from there to the Seahawks, their affiliates, and came back. And, he had to sloop around, so he's probably going to be a bench player. There's Muhammad Gui, I guess if I'm pronouncing it right. There's also Jock Landy. So, but I'll tell you something, guys, because I'm looking at this through SofaScore, and I wish I could show it to you guys, but my computer is very slow, which I do apologize. Is that they have a lot of injuries according to how it's looking over here, because they have a lot of day-to-day for CJ McCollum, day-to-day for Nicholas Alexander Walker, day-to-day for Dayton Daniels. Who else has a day-to-day? Day-to-day for Jalen Johnson, day-to-day for Jonathan Kimbia. So there's a lot, and there's a couple of centers. One of them is out. So listen, I will say this will be somewhat easy. I'm assuming it's going to be like last year because we might go to a game 6, which we can't let that happen. I'm fine with a game 5, but I'm fine with a game 6, but I wanted to go to a game 5 because, at some point they're probably going to come back at us and be like, not done yet. And then we'll come back home and outsmart them. Now, for us, we have a lot of, players that they could play. So, of course, you've got Jalen Brunson, whose ankle is a little bit not so well, but he is adjusting day to day. I'm really nervous. And listen, Atlanta also has the same problems, so I'm not going to really be surprised. But Jalen Brunson has something in his ankle as well as for Josh Hart, so I'm not going to be really. listen, it's gonna be hard because even when it says day to day, I wonder if Mike Brown has something up his sleeve. That's the only thing, and this is where the bench should really come in. Um, Karl-Anthony Towns has an elbow issue. Mitchell Robinson has an ankle. So this could and listen, half of these things are day to day as well as for OG Anunoby. I didn't know this because a couple of my friends told me today that that OG Anunoby had an ankle issue as well. So but of course it says here on SofaScore, and of course it might say it as well as on 365 scores. So listen, we don't have as many players that have problems. I mean, Tyler Kolek is also one of them, which I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's something with the letter O. I just don't know how to pronounce it. But yeah. So I want to go through each game and take it game to game. Game one, which is gonna be on a Saturday at 6 o'clock. That's gonna be a really good time because, of course, the sun is shining, and of course, everyone is gonna be in the city to watch these Knicks games, and of course, they're gonna be at the game. Of course, we're gonna be just storming out and all that stuff. Not the point. Game one is an easy knockout. It's I want to say the easiest knockout that we'll ever see at the Garden. That goes for game two. But what will I expect from game one is that we're going to get out there and we'll do what we have to do, which is playing physical defense, nonstop of these passes on offense. So it shows a lot of us how we can play. And I believe that this bench could do it, even if Brunson is not playing or Hart or all of these guys. Now, could be wrong because they could play. It's just this minor. It's this minor, day-to-day problems. It's not really like an ASAP that they're going to be out. Of course, the thing is, I look back at a couple of years ago, and yeah, that kind of stung that we lost against, who was it? I think it was Cleveland at the time, and we lost by a dozen at their home court. I think it was like a game 5 or something like that. But that was with Julius. It was a while ago. But what I'm trying to say is that I feel a little bit confident for 1 and 2. However, I'm going to feel also nervous because you never know what to expect with both of these players. However, there is some good parts to this roster because we have Jose Alvarado. He is more of this person that can attack and just is up in your face. So I could see that as a good thing, as well as Mikal Bridges. There's a lot of guys that can step up and say that we're going to play, and we're going to play very good. And, yeah. I will, however, do some. Let's just see the. Wonder if I could do. Yeah, we could do comparison to a different team. Let's see what team there is. I'm going to choose the Atlanta Hawks. Okay, we're going to do Atlanta. Okay, I'm just going to write down the Hawks. There we go. Okay, so I just did the comparison for the Knicks and the Hawks. Listen, it's not too far from where they are, because they're struggling the same way that we are. However, I think they're not going to really put it their all as I see it, because most of how they're doing on offense is not the same thing as what we're doing on offense. Yes, we are 42% on offense in field goals and uh, and per game. But of course, the Hawks are like 1 point above us, which doesn't really matter. Per game, in all that, we're averaging, I want to say, 110 points per game. So it's good. It's good. Listen. I'm also saying this because they're also 6 points ahead of us, but it doesn't really matter. I don't think, if you ask me, just because they have CJ McCollum and Buddy Hield and all these other guys, doesn't mean that they might win. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it might be a couple of games or something like that. But listen, I'm not so sure. You ask me, I'm legitimately not so sure. In terms of rebounds, they're doing well. We're doing much more better in rebounds. I don't know. Okay, here we go. I think off steals. Yeah, we're much better than the Hawks in defense. So, but in offense, we're good. I've got to say, with offense, we're good. We're not too far away from them because they could also play. But let's see, because you never know what the objection of playing against this roster is. Now, you look back at what we had to go through with Trae Young, and when we had this whole facade of, Julius Randle and all these other guys, it wasn't the best because we did not know what to expect. However, I believe that we can actually do this. Listen, we've been playing well. We're in third place. They're not doing as good as they. I don't want to say should be because they're kind of good, but they we're doing an amazing job. I mean, hear me out. The matter of the fact that there's a lot of day-to-day players, which is nothing. It really isn't. Um, we have some potential to possibly win game one. I've got to say, um, you know, um, yeah. Of course, the top players that I will mention that are probably gonna kill it: Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Josh Hart. Now, I know I didn't mention that they're probably gonna heal up day to day, but we're playing on Saturday, so they have more time to kind of gain and see what they're going through within their bodies, and checking up on how they're feeling within, because you think about it, they're playing a lot of games, so of course they got to rest. That's why we didn't play them against the Charlotte Hornets. So and listen, there's no problem with not playing most of these guys because we don't want to waste their energy per se. So, yeah. With the assists and all those different things, it's going to be Mikal Bridges. Points per minute would be Mikal and OG. So there's a lot of things that could, end up being very good that I really can't wait. It's just that it makes me nervous a little bit, so I'm not so sure what to expect. But yeah, I mean, like, looking at the stats, it just makes me a little bit pumped up. So, but also nervous. Like, don't be like, I don't want to say like, and I'm just saying this because I'm a diehard Knicks fan, but also cautious. We're gonna have to, wait a little bit and see what comes up. In terms of, I want to scroll down and put some music here. In terms of how we could be playing, in terms of how we could be playing, you know, it's going to be an interesting aspect to see how these, players will play. So, but yeah, actually I did forget to mention about the Hawks, because we want to see if we should be careful with some players. Okay, so let's look at their statistics. Okay, so they're averaging in points 118 points per game. Okay. Defensively, 43 points per game. They've shot over the season 37 3-pointers. Free throw line, of course, that's 77. So, yeah. Rebound, they're good at 11 points per rebound, or getting rebounds, sorry. 32 in defense. In total, that is 43. Pretty cool. Turnovers. This is where we should keep an eye on. In turnovers per game, they average 13 points. Supposedly to us, I forgot to put the comparison. But, sorry guys. Let's see where our turnovers are even less. I mean, it's 1 point less, but yeah, it doesn't bring me to surprise. But I will say is that I'm feeling somewhat confident. Not too confident, but somewhat. Yeah. I mean, listen, the odds of playing the Atlanta Hawks are very high that we could possibly win. And listen, it's not going to be easy. I'll tell you that. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be 10 times hard. It really is. It's going to be 10 times hard. We're going to have to lock in, get a lot of that defense on, and even play the bench. I believe last year we didn't even play a single person on the bench, and that was on Tibbs. That's why we had to, let him go. And I believe that with Mike Brown, we're using the bench even more often. It is very interesting to see why Mike Brown likes to use his bench, and it's kind of this mentality of, okay, I'm using my players from the bench because I know they're good. Like, think about it with Tyler Kolek. We had one game where it was against the Wizards, went to Westchester, where I am right now, went to the Westchester County Center. How much did he score? 42 points. Came back to Madison Square Garden, world's most famous arena, scored 11 points in the fourth quarter. And I was there. I saw him with my own eyes. Guy went running. He said, you know what? Pass me the ball. I'll lay it in. If he could do that again, but with like 4 shots and grabbing that intensity, perfect. Now, of course, he didn't play for Charlotte, Now, I'm not saying he played for Charlotte, but of course he didn't play against the Charlotte Hornets in the last game. I'm assuming because Mike Brown knows that he's good. But I hope he really adds him to play in the game. Because if you ask me, Tyler Kolek is one hell of a player. Ariel Laporte, I could see him, covering up for Mitch as well. So there's a lot of good players out there. I believe Trey Jameson is getting there. He's not that player that I could see him. Maybe next year, because of course we've got to keep these players. Some of them are rookies, but you see them grinding, and oh my God, this is like one hell of a team that knows how to play. We know how to play. It's not just like lobbing up and just here, take a 3-pointer, go in and drive in, even if it's Tyler Kolek, drive in, get that lay in, you know what to do. You know what I mean? You can't just give someone the ball and next thing you know, just shoot a 3-pointer. I remember times doing that in the Special Olympics. Next thing you know, it didn't go down. My coach would be yelling at me on the sideline, "What the fuck are you doing, man?" But that's not the case with Tyler Kolek. Tyler Kolek is really smart. If he could shoot at the Westchester County Center 42 points, I could see him doing the same thing and averaging maybe 16 points. Like, not 16 points every single game, but at least maybe 11 points, 13. Like, not a lot, because probably Mike Brown is going to send him in the bench. I don't know, but he could also be a good player that could sit, come up at like maybe 2 minutes remaining in the second, the third, the fourth, maybe the first, perhaps. So there could be a lot of things coming up that could be good for this team. I believe it. Also, Pedro Dadier, he's a one hell of a player. Listen, the guy also can really play and get much better as he is. Daniel Jones as a bench player, I could see him playing a couple of minutes, but it all depends on how Mike Brown plays these guys, because it might not be all the time that he might put them in the game. The thing is, when you reach game 82, that's when the test of when coaches decide when to put their players in. And it's kind of interesting because that's when you are kind of cautious. And knowing these two-way players or the bench players, I believe that we've got this. Mike Brown is using these players to go and play consistent minutes. But I want to get to the point before I end the show that I know Jalen Brunson has got this. I know Josh Hart has got this. I know that Karl-Anthony Towns, oh my God, he's been dominating for the last 4 games in the regular season towards the end, meaning game number 79, number 80, 81, or what? No, was it 81? No, I think it was 81 a little bit. It wasn't so much, but I think it was game number 75 or 76 that he came out fuming, scorching hot. And he said this perfectly while Alan Hahn was interviewing Karl-Anthony Towns, that they're ready and they are, they're making sure that these games are like the playoffs games, that these games are like playoff games towards the end of the season. When it comes down, think about this. I want you to think about it for a second. When it comes down to game number 70 to 82, that's when your life is on the line and you have to give it 100%. You don't want to give 85%. If you give 85%, then you're doing well, but you're probably going to be on the bench. Listen, Karl-Anthony Towns is on fire. The guy is a beast at what he does. And yes, when Mitch is sitting down on the bench, courtside, he steps up his game and he says, I'm bringing my all. And I'm going to be there for game 2. So I'll be there for my first playoff game, seeing what it is like with these players on the line, whether we win game 1 and then we try to do the same thing for game 2, or the other way around where we possibly lose game 1, which I do not want to happen, and then we win game 2 because that's when we head on to a game 5. So what I'm trying to say here is that with these games, especially home court advantage games, it is a must win. Really, it is a must win. We've got to be on the line, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, we've got to be on the line, seeing what's to come with these players. And that's all I'm going to say because, you know, they've been busting their ass constantly. You know what I mean? And listen, it is what it is in terms of some of these guys, but they know what they're getting themselves into. And that's the whole, show. That's in terms of what we are dealing with. You know what I mean? But yeah, I really can't wait to watch and see what we could witness within this game or games. Sorry, but yeah. Anyways, guys, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and also make sure to ring that notification bell so that way you get more videos like this. Again, now I'm probably going to be uploading some more videos, and even if it's on the go that I might be doing a little bit and reactions and all that stuff, it's going to be cool. Believe me, you're going to be seeing a lot of these videos and how we won or how we lost, and I'll probably be doing some interviews with some guys and all that stuff. But yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Also make sure to ring that notification bell so that way you get more videos like this. And let's see, because I'm confident that we're probably going to win this. And listen, it's the Atlanta Hawks, so of course they've got some veteran who's, you know, I mean, yeah, he's probably 34 years old, which is a CJ McCollum. But let's see. You know, yeah. But anyways, guys, that's about it. You know, yeah. Yeah, so, you know, yeah. Anyways, guys, that's about it. Hope you enjoyed. That's about it, guys. So sorry about that. That's about it, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this. Yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this live stream, and yeah, yeah, really like, subscribe, comment, and really that's about it, you know. Yeah. Anyways, guys, peace, and let's go Knicks. And blue got the garden going hard. Jalen Brunson with the drive. Michael Bridges got the flame. Crowd yelling loud every time we win the game. Post up, step back, cat with that net. Defense locking down like a city set bet. OG Anunoby brings a stop. Josh Hart got the plan. We bringing the heat like a torch in my hand. It's a Knicks take. We run this court from the boroughs to the world. We bring that force. Raise your hands. Feel that New York pride. We the heartbeat of the East. Can't kill this dream.
from the boroughs to the world, we bring that force. Raise your hands, feel that New York pride. We the heartbeat of the East, can't kill this drive. I break it down on the show, no cap, all facts.